I'm going to give you 15 names. Some of them are tied together. You just go yes or no. Zach Dysert.
This is whether, what is the thing? Are they going to make the team? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Zach, yes.
Yes. I got word from one of the coaches that they're in love with Trevor Siemian, that he's a fast learner, he's smart, from Northwestern, that he's participating in some 7-on-7 drills, and they really like him. Can they really afford, even though he's playing some 7-on-7, but he's not going to be able to play at the beginning of the season or play this year? You think that Zach Dice, that they'll keep 4 quarterbacks, or that
well, they could stash him on the practice squad.
Yeah, well, but that's where they stash the other guy, Zach Dysert, really. So.
Well, I see Dysert making it initially, and then Simeon replacing him when he's healthy. He's coming off ACL surgery, so he's not going to be a factor. Until what, September, October, perhaps at the earliest.
Yeah. Okay. Capri Bibbs and Jeremy Stewart.
No.
Both of them. Okay. Ronnie Hillman.
No.
Okay, so who are the running backs then? You mentioned it. Jawan Thompson is not training at fullback, so he's going to probably be the number 3 running back.
You got Joe Don Duncan and James Casey, who might be considered
fullbacks,
running backs,
but they got to keep a 4th running back, I would think.
Well, yeah, in fairness to that question, I would say Capri Bibbs, and between Bibbs and Stewart, one of them makes it. I would be surprised if Hillman isn't used to be trade bait during camp, where he can help another team. Doesn't particularly profile well in this offense. Monty Ball's going to be there, we know. C.J. Anderson's going to be there, obviously. But I would say between Stewart and Bibbs, it's one or the other, and I would trade then Hillman. Yeah,
and you and I totally agree on that you get one of those conditional draft choices of how he helps whoever they send him to. Okay, Ryan Harris, emergency sign after Ryan Clady goes down. We thought here that Chris Clark would move back to left tackle. Don't see any sign of that happening, but Ryan Harris has played in the system before. Is he going to make this team?
Oof. I mean, he hasn't even worked. He's just now starting to work out because he needed some conditioning. Is he going to make this team? I would say yes, as insurance. I don't see him playing right away, though. I just see him as a security blanket.
I said Joe Don Duncan I thought would make the team. I studied his history. He's an overachiever. He's a guy that could be a utility infielder for them, fullback, tight end, and a super special teams player. Do you see him having a chance to make this team?
I see him being beat out by James Casey. Now, if they carry 2, obviously he's in. But Casey is arguably the best special teams player in football last year. So that doesn't help Joe Don Duncan's case. So as we sit here today, I would say Casey over Duncan, and that would keep Duncan off the roster.
Jerry Rivers, outside linebacker, that's kind of interesting, very intriguing, and has the same name as Geraldo Rivera had before he changed his name in college. Geraldo Rivera was Jerry Rivers. Is Jerry Rivers going to make this team, either one of them?
Yeah. Geraldo, no. Jerry, I don't see it. I think Jerry is, I think he was a late camp casualty. They like him. That's why they kept him around practice squad, but I don't see it.
Okay. I got an intriguing one for you, I think. Connor Barth, Brian McManus, and Schmitz.
Yeah, that's a great question right now, because they need security in that position with Barth. He doesn't have the leg they'd want. I mean, from a roster standpoint, Schmitz would be the best use of funds if he can prove it. The reason I'm hesitating, I haven't seen Schmitz. I mean, he's more on YouTube than we see him in practice. I don't know. I mean, he's this fascinating guy that could kick off, he could do this, punt, he does all these things, but I got to see it in camp. So,
Troy?
I would say status quo. Brent, I would say Barth. Barth, for me, would have to do something unusual not to make it, because they already went through the unpredictability of McManus last year. I don't think they want to go through that again.
Well, and Barth is pretty much a lock from 30 to 35 yards, which is going to be the extra point this year.
Correct.
Yeah.
Finally, early in the volunteer mini camps, Antonio Smith, who you brought up earlier, really praised Kenny
Anuki.
Yeah. What about the two of them? If you had to guess on Antonio Smith, but more importantly, that because they haven't gone out and gotten any additional help, that Kenny, how do you pronounce his last name? Ananuki. Supposedly Antonio Smith said he was a fast learner. He praised him highly in the Broncos. He's been around. He's a guy that can play inside or outside. Do you think he has a chance to make this team?
Yes. And I think he was going to make it last year, and he got hurt. So, yeah, I like his chances. And he plays with an edge and attitude. He's really confident for a young guy. He actually got into it with veterans last year because of his confidence. He thought he was a little bit too cocky during practice. I like his chances. Antonio Smith, it really depends on this court thing. And, I'd say, again, this is just speculation on my part, but it's 60-40 he's on it right now. I mean, they need resolution, and they need to figure out what all the facts are. But if he's going to get suspended, that's another issue. Like, even if he's cleared, no charges filed, but if the NFL says they're going to suspend him, do the Broncos still want that hanging over their season for a backup player? I mean, it's getting near that time where they have to make a decision. And the cap hit, it's $500,000 signing bonus is really, that's all they're on the hook for. So his status has become tenuous at this point. But we just don't know enough about the case. And if they don't file any charges, how much will that sway the Broncos? Or will they then lean on the NFL and their independent investigation to say, hey, if you thought there was enough to suspend him, then maybe they're prepared to move on?
How about my last one? I promise. Norwood.
He should make it. I thought he was for a lot, frankly. But when they picked up the Patton kid from Tampa Bay, now he's clearly in a battle for it. I don't think Isaiah Burst will make it, and if he just shows something differently than he showed last year. He's reliable. He catches the ball. He just didn't show explosiveness. But for me, Norwood versus Patton is pretty even. Kyle Williams, I know him a little bit because his dad, Kenny Williams, is a GM forever with the White Sox. He's a president now. But I would say Norwood-Patton should be a very fascinating battle in camp as to which guy wins that role. Norwood, we got to see if he's healthy from the ACL. But Norwood was the guy last year, Woody. He had won the job before he tore his ACL.
Those are great answers. I threw him at you, Troy. I apologize for that, but you handled it like a sure-handed third baseman, Arenado, who handles every play.